Things I do for you guys. So The Last Airbender was released in 2010 and was directed by M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong and is the live-action adaptation of the Nickelodeon television series Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, when you guys saw this video pop up on your subscription page, you probably thought to yourselves, oh no, John, why are you doing this to yourself, man? The reason why I watched this abomination to begin with was because I recently finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a fantastic series, and so I noticed that the movie was on Netflix, and so I watched the movie, and I just wanted to see how bad of a job Shyamalan turned the show into a full-length feature film. But the thing is about Last Airbender is, I wasn't even surprised by how terrible it was. I mean, ever since it first came out, I've heard so many bad things about it, and pretty much everyone hates it. And the thing is, it's not a movie that you have fun watching just because of how bad it is, like The Room, or Batman and Robin, or Cat in the Hat. And it's not a movie that made me mad just because of how bad it was, like Justice League and Rise of Skywalker. It's just bland, it's boring, it's dull, it's extremely uninspired. After watching it, I'm honestly well convinced that Shyamalan has never seen a single episode from the show. Funny enough, I don't think Shyamalan is that bad of a filmmaker. Like, when he's given a good script, he can be really good. Like, for example, he directed one of my all-time favorite movies, The Sixth Sense, which is a fantastic movie. But yeah, he clearly was not the right director for this, and not only did he just drop the ball on this, but it just feels like he didn't even care while making it, and it just comes across as a half-assed attempt rather than a faithful adaptation. The movie sucked out all the fun and all the heart that the show had, and instead of giving us a proper adaptation, he just gave us this dead, dreary, and ugly mess of a movie. Now, unlike the show where I loved every character, I hated every character in this movie. Aang was a crybaby, Sokka wasn't funny, Katara made the same face throughout the whole movie and smiled twice, and Zuko was just some guy who yelled a lot. The one thing, oh my god, the one thing that made me so mad about this movie was they pronounced Aang's name wrong. They pronounced it as On in the movie. What? And funny enough, as soon as I was done watching the movie, I did research on the cast, and according to IMDb, the kid who played Aang, Noah Rayner, Last Airbender was his first big movie that he was in, and his last movie that he was in was Cowboys and Aliens. I feel so bad for this kid. I'm not joking, guys. Go on IMDb, look up Noah Rayner's profile, and you will see 2 movie credits in his profile. That is so sad. I don't even want to talk about the rest of the actors in this. Like, this is some of the worst acting I've ever seen in any movie I've ever seen. Nicola Peltz played Katara, and she also played Mark Wahlberg's daughter in Transformers: Age of Extinction. And my god, I don't know what's up with her, but I'm sorry. She is not a good actress. Like, she is so dead and so emotionless in this movie. And like I said earlier, I think she smiled twice. Like, seriously, for a majority of the movie, it was her doing this the whole time. On? And Dev Patel, who also was in Slumdog Millionaire, he played Zuko. And look, I have nothing against Dev Patel as an actor. I think he can be a really good actor. Like, for example, he was great in the film Lion. But to be honest with you guys, he was not good as Zuko. His performance was too over the top. I'm sure it was Shyamalan's fault or the script's fault, but most of the movie it was him going like this. I am Prince Zuko! And you guys know that burn scar that Zuko has on the left side of his eye in the show? They barely gave him a scar in the movie. It honestly looked more like a scratch. The live-action Zuko felt more cartoonish than the animated Zuko in the show. Not only were the performances garbage, but the CGI was garbage as well. Like, seriously, the CGI in this movie feels more fake than the beautiful animation in the show. When the characters were bending the water and the fire and the rocks, it didn't look real. It looked fake. It honestly looked like a video game. In fact, a video game looks more realistic and more convincing than this movie does. And speaking of horrendous CGI, let's talk about Appa and Momo.
Look how they massacred my boy.
The way they designed Appa in this movie looked absolutely horrifying, and I wanted to kill it with fire. And don't get me started on Momo. Momo, I think, looked more horrifying than Appa did. They didn't even say his name once in this stupid movie. Like, he didn't even look like the Momo from the show. He looked like Zaboomafoo on crack. Oh, God. So, guys, I can go on and on all day about how big of a failure The Last Airbender is. Not only does it fail as an adaptation of the television series, but it fails as a whole, as a movie. The Last Airbender is quite possibly the worst adaptation of an IP I've ever seen. It just goes to show how Hollywood cares more about money rather than making a good movie based off of a much beloved property. I give The Last Airbender an F. The only good thing that came out of this was I did not have to pay to watch it. I just watched it on Netflix, so thank God I didn't have to pay like $3 or $4 to watch it on Amazon Prime. So, what is the worst film adaptation of a classic property that you have ever seen? Whatever it is, just leave it in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.